What is going on, guys? We are back with the Rye Squared podcast. Today we are covering football. Rye, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Excited to start talking some football after, big Super Bowl last night.
Oh,
Crazy game.
indeed, it was a crazy game. Patrick Mahomes stole the Super Bowl MVP away
Mhm.
from Damian Williams, who had one of his best games of the
100
season.
yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, one
Yeah.
rushing, one receiving.
Do you feel like Mahomes
I
should have one MVP or no?
I feel he was terrible the first half. I
Yes.
He started playing better when he needed to play better, but unreal how he managed to win the MVP. But the fan vote and stuff kind of helps that too because nobody was voting for Williams, and most of the football writers would want to see Mahomes win
Hmm.
MVP. So it makes sense
When
he won.
when you're Patrick Mahomes, you're 24 years old, you're becoming the best quarterback on the planet
Yep.
in a matter of, 2 years. People are going to start picking you for just about everything. So,
Yeah.
what are we doing today? We are doing post Super Bowl mock draft. So, this is kind of our 1.0 mock, and we want to cover 1 to 2 rounds today and probably each time. We want to do about three of these, probably this one post Super Bowls and around combine time, and then probably right before the draft, which will be our final one. We're gonna have a lot of fun with these.
Absolutely.
These should be really fun, and uh, especially because the draft is as big as a deal as ever for our Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, it really is. Could make or break next season, I think.
A lot of roster turnover coming in the next few years. I think Carson Wentz did himself a huge favor by playing the best football of his career.
Down and when
Uh,
he needed to down the
yes, down
stretch.
the stretch. Couldn't come away with a playoff victory because Wentz
We
didn't play
love
more than however many
quarter,
snaps. Yeah, it
less
was
than
like
a
five
quarter.
snaps or something.
Yeah.
So that's great to see, but not really.
No.
Um, we are moving on with this new mock draft machine idea from the draftnetwork.com. I have my screen displayed here, and then I'm going to show you. I'm going to click over to our Mac screen. We're using the same kind of format here. Uh, the Draft Network does a really good job of breaking down players. Just to show you, we're going to click on Chase Young here. Uh, Actually, yeah, there it is, loading up. They have a few different perspectives on him. Kind of shows strength and weaknesses. And they have that for just about every player. So this should be fun. But first and foremost, we're going to talk about our birds. Um,
Our birds.
Disappointing, but kind of a good year. How would you even put this year into words?
So this year, the start was a little shaky, a little shaky. Especially the first game when you're going just almost into halftime, down 24 points to one of the worst teams in football, the Redskins. Um, the connection between Wentz and Jackson in the first game was something you'd hope you'd see all season.
Hmm.
Jackson goes down with an abdominal injury. The next game against Atlanta, they lose in overtime. Or no, it was in regulation, right? It was in regulation.
Yeah, yeah, right down to the
Last
last
play.
play. Yeah.
Um, and then he comes back for what, a snap in week 8, and then he's done for the rest of the season because he completely tears it. It requires surgery. Um, the wide receiving core really was hit and miss all season. Nelson Aguilar couldn't catch a beach ball. Going back to his rookie season, I don't think we'll ever see 2017 Nelson Aguilar ever again,
No.
unless he gets moved. Because I think get him out of Philly. I loved him during the Super Bowl run. He was huge because he was like a gadget player, so he would get
Hmm.
snaps at running back too, and he made use of his speed. But he's it's unreal, like the night and day difference between those 2 years. And
Hmm.
then Aguilar goes down with an injury, or not Aguilar, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. Hmm.
Um, and it's a big toss up of will won't he return. It's looking more likely that he won't return.
Mm-hmm.
which really just doesn't help the Eagles considering their current wide receiver position. Um, One of the biggest surprises of the season and down the stretch, Greg Ward, you son of a gun, um, came in, actually caught the football, which was something you'd never thought you'd see. Uh,
Yes.
Carson Wentz is probably his second target behind the tight ends, Goddard and Ertz, which
Mm-hmm.
are steady seasons from them, which is what you want to see.
Yeah, probably the best tight end duo in the league, I would think, from a building standpoint.
Yeah. And then running back, we had Jordan Howard. I was on the Jordan Howard hype train as soon as they
As was
acquired him.
I. As was I.
Um, I would send out the feed Jordan Howard tweets every time that man did something in a football game.
Yeah.
Uh,
However, the Eagles did not decide to use him the right way
no, they
in the
didn't.
season, and then he got hurt and never went back to him,
Nope.
which was very surprising because when he got the ball, I thought he was pretty
Effective.
productive with the ball. He
Yeah.
he ranked him on the top first down run rushers in all of football. I mean, he finished the year with, let's see, 119 attempts, 525 yards, and 6 touchdowns, which for
For
a guy
playing
who
what,
missed,
6 weeks?
yeah, not even half the year, that's a great stat line.
That's an 1,000-yard rusher right there.
Hmm
And they never went back to him after his injury.
Yeah, it said he played 10 games, but I think he only got carries or whatever, or even really got playing time in about 6 or 7 of those games.
Yeah.
So if we could put the entire season in one word, it would be injuries. I think the
Yeah.
injury situation really devastated the Eagles. They had to losing Darren Sproles, one more hurrah for
Yeah.
Sproles, and then he doesn't even play really. The and forced to retire.
hmm
But that put guys like Boston Scott on the spot.
Well, the
Who
injury to Corey Clement too.
yeah, I was gonna say Clement. Who else? I mean, the defensive side of the ball. The first time they really had a healthy secondary
Yeah,
all
they stayed
season.
somewhat healthy. I was kind of surprised, but there's just a lack of skill.
And the first time that they were all healthy together, playing together, was that wild card round against the Seahawks, which we
hmm
had an opportunity to go to. Unfortunately, it didn't work out well, but um, pretty cool experience. I just
Yeah.
think that uh, you need the positions groups to focus on. We already mentioned it already. Wide receiver and secondary, and when you lose, um, you had a linebacking core that was already weak, but could
It's
have
even weaker now.
could have done something. Um, yeah, so much weaker now. Nigel Bradham is not a guy you really want to.
He can't play coverage, which is easily the biggest downfall of his game. He's such a great pass rusher and run stopper, but he can't play coverage, and it kind of leaves Nathan Jerry and sometimes Malcolm Jenkins, if he does slide down there,
Mhm.
kind of on an island because Jenkins struggled in coverage most of the season. He would get beat deep even when he was playing back at safety, and Jerry made a couple of nice plays. He had the fumble recovery against the Jets for a touchdown, or it was an interception, which was kind of nice. Went back to his safety days. But
Yes, I was big on Nate Jerry in college, because he played the similar role to that Malcolm Jenkins plays now.
yeah,
Just kind of that hybrid safety linebacker, hard hitter. Malcolm Jenkins, on a little note, will he be back next year? We don't know. He's already expressed his opinion about playing on his current contract. Do the Eagles cut him? Do they trade him? Like, what would be the situation with Jenkins here if you're Howie Roseman this offseason?
he's definitely a guy. If you go secondary in the first round, I would assume you'd keep Malcolm Jenkins around because he's just the guy everybody leans on in a locker room.
Hmm
He's such a leader. He's definitely losing a touch, like with his awareness and his skill. But he's leaders like that are hard to come by.
hmm Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Just moving on to let's see, what do we have here? Who else would be a free agent in the offseason? Jalen Mills is said to be a free agent. Ronald Darby is also said to be a free agent. Um, and we already know the Eagles have a lot of their money invested in the trenches, which is why they've been so good on the offensive line and the defensive line for the past, however long.
Yeah.
They have superstars at those positions, and when you have superstars, you got to pay them. So the Eagles don't have a lot of cap space moving into the next year, which concerns me a bit. But that's
Hmm.
why this draft. This is
Could
why we're
be huge.
stressing this draft. It's there's a lot of good players and a lot of difference makers out there, especially at the positions of need for Philadelphia. And I think that
Absolutely.
if they draft well, they could very well next year be back in the playoff hunt and playing past the regular season. I the one team that we have to really worry about in the NFC East, really for the next probably 2 years or so, is Dallas. And Dallas has a lot of problems on their own. They have the
Yeah.
huge situation with Jason Garrett getting dismissed, or not dismissed, but not
Fired, pretty
coming
much.
back. Yeah, pretty much fired, just not getting his contract extended. Now he's with the Giants, which is just laughable at this point.
Yeah.
Because will Daniel Jones play well under a Jason Garrett run out offense? Probably not.
No,
uh,
definitely not.
but but Dallas has huge money issues also. They got to re-sign a ton of guys. And the one being their starting quarterback, Dak Prescott, and it's really just going to be a toss-up between Amari Cooper or Byron Jones, who's going to stay, because
I would
if they
imagine they'd keep Cooper. Keep
that's what
Dak's number
that's what
one
I've heard.
target.
hmm You keep Dak and you keep Amari. You can move on from Byron Jones. You can draft a corner this year. They have what, the 17th? Yeah, the 17th pick in the first round in this year's draft. So they're gonna have options at corner in the draft and probably in free agency too. Maybe a little cheaper option than Byron Jones. Byron Jones is a really good player. I
He is a
hate to
really good
admit it.
player.
Uh, but yeah, it's really just Philly and Dallas at the top of the division right now.
Yeah.
The only two teams of worry, with the Redskins picking second and the Giants picking
Giants picking
fourth.
fourth.
And I think that the Giants could be picking first next year.
Yeah,
They're
probably.
they are so structurally unstable, and they really don't have any really sense of direction of where they're going for this like little. I know what the Eagles do so well is that they have little 3-year plans like each year
Yeah.
for each player, which I love, and it changes from year to year, which is why we praise Howie Roseman and we worship him and
Hmm.
whatever. Um, it just seems like Gettleman is just not on that Howie Roseman
It
juice.
definitely isn't. Not many people around the NFL are on the Howie Roseman juice.
hmm So that was a little bit of background on the Eagles season. Uh, there are guys that obviously the roster is going to look way different from now until our next few mocks, but I think it is time to jump into the mock draft. What do you say?
I think it's time.
All right, so we will be bouncing, doing one. I'll be choosing first. Then Armac will be choosing his first player, and then I'll be choosing second. He'll choose his second player. So we'll do it until we get tired. Probably 2 rounds. We know the most about the guys in that are going early. Um, we still have to do our homework, but that is what makes this process so amazing. And
Yep.
as soon as the combine
The
comes
combine.
around,
Once the
yeah.
combine comes around, I know a lot more about guys.
Oh, that is the most fun part of the year because then you can just absolutely tell exactly what guys are going to be. I mean, for the most part, you
Yeah.
can tell what their strengths and weaknesses are. I haven't watched a ton of film, which I mean,
No.
I watch a lot of these guys basically live, which is how I know about them. But I'm going to start it off. Here we go. Bengals number 1 pick. Is it even a question? It's got to
I
be the Heisman winner, Joe Burrow.
I I agree. I mean, there's a lot of argument about Chase Young should be going number one,
hmm
but they really desperately need a quarterback. Andy Dalton is not your solution. Hate to break it to you, Bengals fans.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, even with a roughed up offensive line, which the Bengals have, I think Burrow can still find success in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking very much like your number one overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, how can and especially with the last few years with the run on um, Heisman
Heisman winners going
Heisman
first.
quarterback winners going first overall, it it seems just so fitting that another one would go. Now
Yeah.
Burrow is a little older; he's 23, but I mean, and he really didn't even have that great of a season until this year. Uh,
Yeah.
so it could raise some red flags. I see you looking at the scouting right
Yeah.
now. I obviously would say that Chase Young is the best player in this draft class, but I don't think he would fit the Bengals right away. Although the Bengals probably
No.
need an edge rusher or whatever. I just think that they got to go quarterback. It's Andy Dalton's not.
Yeah,
He's not
it's a
the
no
answer.
brainer.
Mhm. All right, so you pick Joe Burrow as well, right?
Yep.
There it is. All right. So I'll let you go first this time. So we'll kind of bounce back.
Yeah, yeah. So the Redskins are interesting because I have no clue what they'll do.
Now they drafted well last year.
Last year they
They
did.
really did.
It's definitely a thing of we'll see who falls to our lap at number two if it's Burrow or Young. So with what we're basing this off of, I'm definitely thinking they're gonna take Chase Young.
Mhm.
Are they a Chase Young away from being a great team? No, they need so much more work at every other position. The emergence of Terry McLaurin at wide receiver definitely helps him, but quarterback's a question. Everything else is a question.
Yeah.
It's really tough. So I definitely think they'll take Chase Young because he's kind of like the Kerrigan replacement.
Hmm.
So I it most logical pick here is Chase Young.
He's gonna lock it in. At number two, I gotta agree with you. Obviously, Chase Young. He's the best player in this draft. They're not a Chase Young away from being contenders at all. But anytime you can get the best player in the draft, it should help your team somewhat. Detroit Lions. Now, this is where the draft actually begins, in my eyes.
Yeah.
The first two should be locks. This is where it gets really interesting because their top needs linebacker, corner, and it's their top needs by far. Um,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they could use an edge rusher, but I really think it with Darius Slay's situation, he's getting older. He's one of the best corners in the league, but with him getting older, they have Justin Coleman as their number two. I think if you take Jeffrey Okudah out of Ohio State and slot him right there in the slot next to those, two good corners, I think that secondary becomes shut down, uh, and could make for a pretty good defense. I know Matt Patricia's a defensive guy.
Very defensive guy.
Uh, I think it would kind of be fun to see Jeffrey Okudah play along Darius Slay and Justin Coleman. I think that would be a fun secondary. He's also probably in my eyes the best player available right there.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I don't see them going quarterback, even though Matt Stafford is definitely their quarterback for the next 2 years,
No,
maybe.
and Matt Stafford played pretty good before he got hurt this year.
Yeah. And then they went with the rotation of Slow and I forget the other guy's name, but
uh, uh,
it led to them
Blau
being
and
yeah.
whoever. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeffrey Okuda make probably one of the better trios of corners in the league, and hopefully your defense can stick up and carry your team through some football games. Maybe lead them to an 8-8 record after what they were 4-12 this year after the injury.
Something.
3-13,
So
four and
they had a
12, something
tie.
like that.
They had a tie in there week
Three,
one. Three
yeah,
12 and
that's
one, I
tough.
think they were.
Yeah,
So,
I definitely think Okuda is the guy you pick.
mhm. All right. You take pick number 4. It's the New York Giants. Dave Gettleman. Where does he go this year?
Dave Gettleman. I've seen a lot of talk of wide receiver
Oh, yeah.
on Twitter. A lot of Giants fans want a wide receiver. They're all in on the big three of Judy, Lamb, or Ruggs.
Hmm.
Um, they're not taking Tua. They have their franchise quarterback in Daniel Jones. Uh, their defense is questionable, very. Peppers is one of those guys who's a top draft pick, and you don't know if he's ever gonna make. He's shown improvement, but he's still lacking in some of the big areas as a safety. Um, you know, will they take a tackle or a lineman? Nobody knows. Like you don't know with the Giants. You don't know what they're gonna do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Such a wild card team.
So,
But do they go a little bit off the board? There's a linebacker, certain linebacker from Clemson that I
oh,
think would shore up a little bit of the pass rush that they've had trouble with. His name's Isaiah Simmons. I've watched a decent amount of Clemson games.
oh yeah.
Um, and he was a guy they would shuffle back and forth between safety and linebacker.
Yeah.
And every time I saw him line up at safety, I always said he's not a safety, he's a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a natural pass rusher, and he's still kind of iffy in coverage. Luckily, he's a big lanky guy, so
Mm-hmm.
his reach can sometimes get him out of it. But if he slots in at linebacker at the NFL level, he's going to be such a great player.
Yeah.
That it's such a worth pick at 4
Mm-hmm.
because you can find other wide receivers for the Giants later in the draft. So I'm going to go with Isaiah Simmons, number 4 to the New York Giants.
All right. All right. I like the thought process. Uh, However, you brought up Jabril Peppers, and I think that he is the epitome of a guy who really can't find a position. If I'm the Giants, a red flag with Simmons would be, why do we need two of those guys on our defense? Now, you said that he's probably a lock for linebacker at the NFL level because he's too big to be a defensive back. I think even though the Draft Network has it as their fifth priority, you need to get a protector for Daniel Jones.
hmm Yeah, the
He had
offensive line
fumble
is still
issues.
shaky.
Yeah, fumble issues last year. Um, and I'm actually going not way off the board, but to be honest, Andrew Thomas out of Georgia, I watched him play a lot this year. That guy is an animal. I don't understand why that they would have him so low on the board, but I've seen him be picked as high as 3 and as low as in the 20s. Um, I think that Andrew Thomas is such a good uh, pass protector, and for Daniel Jones to be able to feel comfortable back in that pocket
You
um,
need a guy like him.
would go so far in his development. And I think that Thomas is the right move. Uh, let's speed this up a little bit. Miami, pick number 5. I think this is a no-brainer.
It's
I'm
Tua.
taking Tua. Yeah.
If they don't pick Tua, somebody slap them across the face.
Go ahead with number 6.
So the Chargers are an interesting team.
Hmm.
There's a lot of talk of the Bosa brothers reuniting in San Fran.
Hmm.
So he has, who is it? It's Nick Bosa, right? That's on the Chargers. I always get them mixed up. Or is
No,
it Joey?
Joey's on the
Joey's on the
Chargers.
Chargers. Joey has expressed interest in signing with the 49ers.
Hmm.
Yeah, he wants to play with his brother
That's
because they're freaks, freak athletes.
Imagine them on the same D line. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's insane.
But they're obviously not going edge.
No, they would almost have to go quarterback because Philip Rivers. But unless you want to sign a guy like Fitzpatrick, but why? What's the
Or
point?
Jameis Winston or Mariota or
Why would
someone
you
else.
sign 30 season Jameis Winston? By the way, that's
I'm
an
just saying
impressive
there's
stat.
there's gonna be
There's
NFL
definitely,
caliber QBs out
yeah,
there.
definitely. I honestly have no clue what the Chargers will do on draft day because if they're already have their eyes set on a free agent quarterback, they could take a wide receiver. They really don't need one. Their wide receivers are okay. It's such an up in the air pick.
Hmm.
If you can even like improve your offensive line, you could take Jedrick Willis, you could take Tristan Wirfs, but I actually have no clue who they'll pick. Not even like lying
So
because
if we're guessing,
if I'm guessing, I think they'll take an offensive lineman just
all right,
because.
all right,
So I think they'll go with the highest rated one here, Jedrick Wills,
all right.
out of Alabama.
Yeah, and he was good all season. I think that would be an interesting pick. Um, for Miami, I think that they could have gone. I mean, we both haven't taken Tua, but they definitely could have gone offensive line between Wills, Wirfs, uh, and even Mekhi Becton. I saw that guy's huge. I saw him getting top 10 looks. I would say at 6, the Chargers. You know what? I'm actually gonna go Derek Brown here out of Auburn. That guy's a monster, and they do need inside defensive lineman help. I think that the Panthers at the next selection would need it more, but uh, I think that Derek Brown's too good of a guy to fall out of the top 6, which is why the Panthers would be salivating if they got the chance to pick him at 7. However, in my mock, they're not going to get the chance to pick him at 7, and instead, they're going to go quarterback here, and they're going to pick Justin Herbert.
I like it. Herbert, up and down season with Oregon.
Yes, I saw the best of Herbert. I also saw the worst of Herbert in one game here at
Mhm.
ASU, uh, where the boys knocked off the Ducks. But go ahead. Who do you have Carolina taking?
I think Carolina will take Brown. Definitely with
Okay.
the issues on the D line, it makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I could see that if he was available for Carolina, they would definitely take him. But
Yeah.
I think that he would actually go to LA. Would get desperate for talent, and also he would just kind of, especially if you say Bosa could be leaving in the next few years, he would add a little bit of stability to that defensive line. But go ahead at 8.
Hey, you're Kyler Murray led Arizona Cardinals
Yeah.
with Fitzgerald returning for another season.
Mhm.
You got Kirk as well,
Mhm.
and if they ever decide to use Isabella at wide receiver,
Now they
they
also
have
had Hakeem Butler.
they have really good wide receivers.
Uh-huh.
But hey, your quarterback's Kyler Murray, and your offensive line's terrible. So you're taking the best available offensive lineman because you want this guy to not make more than 5 years in the NFL.
I agree.
So I'm gonna go Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. It's a no-brainer. You need to protect your franchise quarterback.
Yeah. Wirfs is actually a better run blocker I saw than pass blocker. But a guy like Kenyon Drake back there could use some run backing help or run
That
blocking
too.
help. I think they're actually gonna go Wirfs here too. I'll agree with that. I think Murray is, because he's a improviser scrambler type QB. He doesn't need as much protection, kind of like a Russell Wilson situation. Um,
Yep.
but I think with if you boost the ground game, it'll really help with Murray's confidence, and it'll open up that passing game too.
Yeah.
The Jags at 9 now. I, I can't tell you like the amount of crap that Jacksonville's in.
Yeah.
they they are
Who's their quarterback?
they are
Is it
paying Nick
Foles?
Foles so much money, and they're not even confident he's going to be their starter next year.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, at this point, I'd almost like trade him, but who's going to want him? Because he's a
It's a
situational
hard
guy.
and it's a
He's
hard
always been a situational guy.
contract to trade too.
I definitely don't think Minshew is the answer at QB. However, I have the main quarterbacks going off the board already. So the way this is shaping up, do I really want to reach for Jordan Love right now? I don't think so. I think Foles or Minshew. They need a playmaking wide receiver, and it's got to be Jerry Jeudy. I think he's the best in the class. They need someone that can make plays out of, someone else other than Foles or Minshew to make plays, and I think that Jerry Jeudy will offer that big time.
Yeah, I was gonna go Jerry Judy.
Mm.
It's definitely a thing of their best wide receiver right now is D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch
DJ
of
Chark.
there's not many big names. If you add a Jerry Judy to that list, it'll definitely improve your offense. With quarterbacks who they're decent quarterbacks, but like the issue is interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
But safe hands, most skilled guy, Jerry Judy.
Jerry Judy. Browns at number 10, Rye.
Oh, your Cleveland Browns. What an up and down season. Fire their head coach. Is Baker Mayfield the real deal? Will Odell
Lot
Beckham
of question marks.
stay with the Cleveland Browns? Does Landry win out? Does he want to follow
Yeah.
his best friend Odell
Mm-hmm.
and join and make a super team somewhere?
We thought that the Browns were going to be that, but not really.
No, inconsistent at wide receiver, inconsistent at quarterback, terrible coaching. They no Dallas brought in or no, where did Mike McCarthy go? Didn't he go to Cleveland?
Dallas.
Oh, he went to Dallas. Yeah, I thought he was in the running to go to Cleveland, but he chose
Yes.
Dallas instead.
Yes.
Right. So if you're preparing for the worst of the draft, because I could see them maybe getting rid of Odell, trading him,
Mm-hmm.
you might want to take a guy to fill the void if you really believe that
He's
Baker Mayfield
leaving.
is the real deal.
Yeah.
And at
And
this
it
point,
doesn't.
I would almost believe he's leaving. I don't think he wants to
Huh.
stay there anymore. I don't think Mayfield's the kind of quarterback he'll really mesh with at all. So I'm thinking they're going to go CeeDee Lamb at number 10
Wow.
out of Oklahoma
That is a
over
bold pick.
Ruggs.
Huh, okay.
Just because Mayfield's going to go, he's going to close his eyes and he's go, heck it, CeeDee's down there somewhere.
That's true.
Because this guy can get up and catch the ball. It's unreal how good he is in the air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
he
Baker
tracks the ball
Mayfield's
the
new
best.
target is going to be CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I think Lamb tracks the ball the best out of any receiver in this class, and I think this is a stacked class for wide receiver. Unfortunately, the Browns, uh, they have, in my eyes, their offensive line is too much of a need. I'm going Jedrick Wills. Uh, he's too good, and if he's there at number 10, there's no way the Browns will be passing up on an offensive lineman because a big reason why Baker's picks or interception numbers were up this year was because the lack of protection and they didn't give him enough time back there in the pocket. Number 11, the New York Jets. Oh boy, another franchise that just seems to have no direction. My best guess, it says edge is their top priority. I'm gonna go with K'Lavon Chaisson out of LSU. Kind of freaky athletic player, very raw
Very.
still. But I think if you put him just in a place where he can just go do whatever
If he can
wants.
get a lot of one-on-ones against
Mm-hmm.
outside linemen,
Mm-hmm.
he'll be a monster.
Yeah. All right. So you got who?
I'm going to go with K'Lavon Chaisson too. Just kind of shore up a little bit of a pass rush,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully you make Jamal Adams not have to do everything on the football field. He's one of the most talented, one of the better players in the NFL. So hopefully you can help him out a little bit.
Yeah. I was thinking wide receiver as the other thing because as the other need because they really don't have a ton. They have Crowder and Anunua. Anderson is set to be a free agent. You know they're not bringing Demaryius Thomas back. So I think that pick will actually be really important to see what direction they go. And if your board, if it's working out that way, if they go Judy Lamb before, I think they take another wide receiver because just to have a run on wide receivers, they don't want to miss out.
A guy like Ruggs.
Mm-hmm. If he's there, why wouldn't you take him? He's a burner. Go ahead with the Las Vegas Raiders. Not Oakland.
No longer Oakland. Well, so they signed Antonio Brown in the offseason. Didn't play a single game for them. And he was their star wide receiver. He was the solution to wide receiver. And they never found the solution.
Mm-hmm.
They still have Derek Carr, quarterback.
I see where
Do
you're
you
going with this.
do
Do
you
they
really
find the
believe
solution this year?
Derek Carr is your quarterback? That's another thing that's up in the air. Is he? Nobody knows. But I definitely think you can ride Derek Carr for another year or two.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe see if you do terrible this year and end up getting Lawrence.
Hmm.
I think that's the big prize. Whoever gets number one next year and
Yeah.
gets Trevor Lawrence is
Yeah.
set for the rest of their lives. So I think if they end up falling out again this season because they already have a running back in Josh Jacobs, the offensive line's okay,
Hmm.
um, and I think if they just need a target at wide receiver, and Ruggs seems like the most logical pick here. So
Yep.
I'm gonna go
Yep.
Henry Ruggs out of Alabama,
Yeah. On your
who I
board.
really like. I really
Yeah.
like.
Oh, he's a burner. He's so. A lot of people are saying that he has a chance to break John Ross's record this year at the combine.
Yeah,
I don't think it's happening, but I think it's. I think it's going to be close, and he's going to be right there. I'm going to agree with you. They're going to go wide receiver, but I still have Lamb on my board, so
yeah,
I'm taking
CeeDee
C.
Lamb.
All right, so Indianapolis. This is where things get really, really interesting. Do they rock with Jacoby Brissett? They have
I
trust in him.
I think they do. I think
I
there's still
I
some
like
upside to
Jacoby
Jacoby
Brissett.
Brissett.
I like Jacoby Brissett. I think that he could be a pretty good quarterback in this league. The top need is wide receiver and quarterback. I don't know if I really think they should go wide receiver. They still have T.Y. Hilton. Um, they have a few of these, not journeymen, but these like young guys who were kind of brought in free agency and trades that make up a decent wide receiving core.
Mhm.
Um, I'm actually gonna go because my reasoning is that they will stick with Jacoby Brissett, and I'm going Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina, who is pretty freaky in the interior D line. Who do you got? I would say Bryce Love if I didn't think that Jacoby Brissett could be good enough. Or not Bryce Love,
Jordan
Jordan Love.
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Running back Bryce Love.
I do personally really like Jacoby Brissett. I think he's actually exciting because he's kind of like he's a more like refined version of what Kyler Murray is. He's a little less scrambly than
Hmm.
Kyler, and he's got the arm strength to be a good quarterback.
And size too. He's just big.
He's a big guy. Um, the Colts are so interesting. I definitely think they'll need help on the defensive side. So I definitely think Javon Kinlaw really just freak,
Hmm. 6'5", 315. I mean, he's a big
unreal.
boy. And
I
honestly,
think
he gets
they'll go.
after the quarterback like a defensive end.
Yeah.
So you're going Kinlaw as well. All right, Tampa Bay. Justin
Oh, it's
Herbert's still on your board. Oh, baby.
he is. Yes, he very much is. I think they'll go quarterback. I
Mhm.
I don't think you bring back Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston is almost certainly done in the NFL unless there's a an interesting thing with Miami where they bring Jameis Winston in as a backup, something stupid like that. But I honestly think they'll take Justin Herbert, just kind of take one of the better quarterbacks available at the point.
Mhm.
So Justin Herbert will be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer come draft day.
All right. I'm gonna go Jordan Love.
I mean,
I
Bryce
think
Love. Stop calling him Jordan Love.
it is Jordan Love.
Oh, it is Jordan Love.
It's
Now
not
you got
Bryce.
me
Ah,
confused.
yeah, yeah. Let me hear that again. What did you say? I honestly, I think that Winston goes to the Chargers, which is why I had Derek
Yeah.
Brown uh, as their pick. I think Winston would be a good candidate to replace. Not really a good candidate. I mean, he's basically Philip Rivers 2.0.
Yeah.
Um, so why not replace Philip Rivers with
Philip
Philip
Rivers.
Rivers? Yeah, Philip Rivers Jr. So I'm going Jordan Love. I don't think he would fall out of the. He's not ranked in the first round by player standpoint. I just think if there's a need at quarterback, you got to address it. And
He's
there's
had a
really
crazy
he
rise to the ranks.
yeah. And I don't think that anyone after Love is the answer. I think Love can be the answer in Tampa Bay. Uh, Denver. I have Henry Ruggs still on the board. I'm taking him here. There's no doubt in my
Yeah.
mind. Drew Lock wouldn't love throwing to the fastest wide receiver in the draft class. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I also think they'll go wide receiver. It's a guy I hope would fall to the Eagles on draft day. It's Laviska Shenault. Just a tall freak. He's
Gadget.
6'2", 220. Yeah, he can do everything. So just kind of help Drew Lock out a little bit. We'll go Laviska Shenault.
Okay. Atlanta, interesting team.
Atlanta definitely is interesting. Now, if you look at my board, there's
Mhm.
Christian Fulton and Xavier McKinney still available. I
Yeah.
definitely think they'll pick one of the two.
Mhm.
They're interchangeable. Really, it's just really depends on what position you want to improve more. They could also go as Epineza out of
Mhm.
Iowa, but I definitely think they'll target the secondary more because there's guy. It's so interesting because like free agency, I honestly don't even think they think about free agency during the draft and like think about
Yeah.
the guys available.
Hmm.
They just look at their draft board and go, "Who's the best available guy?" and
Exactly.
they'll pick him. So I think Atlanta will go Christian Fulton at
Hmm.
LSU.
Um, to your point of free agency, they are losing, I believe. Yeah, they're losing Vic Beasley to free agency, who
Yeah,
was supposed to
that's a
be
big
this
loss.
this amazing pass rusher out of Clemson, and he just has not turned into that. Uh, Tack McKinley has been okay, I guess, but because they're losing um, Beasley, I think Epineza is the guy here, and I think he's also just one of those freak guys that you wouldn't want to miss out on. And you wouldn't want someone like the Saints picking them up or something, someone in your division. I think that Atlanta would go and address that need right there at 16. Dallas at 17. Um, they need secondary help, uh, especially if they lose Byron Jones. I think
Mm.
that this would be the place that Fulton goes. Um, Probably the second best corner in the class from a talent standpoint. I think he goes there at 17, which might be a little low for him, but um, yeah, I think he would fit in perfectly into their defense.
It's an all new defense this year with all
Yeah.
the coaching changes.
Hmm.
So that's why I honestly think these two picks with Atlanta and Dallas are going to be secondary, and they can be switched if it's really just up to them. So I'm going to go with Dallas takes McKinney.
Now Miami, they already picked this round, but
They're up
they have
again.
3 picks in the first round this year. Here's number
Yeah, they
two. Who do
really
they go?
do. Well, you address the quarterback need with Tua. Hopefully, his injuries aren't a big deal. I'm sure they'll take him. They need a quarterback desperately, and then they don't have a D line. They don't have an O line. They don't have much of anything, really.
They have a
Um,
JV squad that was out there last year.
Pretty much, yeah. Um, I could probably see them going with an offensive lineman if they do take Tua. So I'm gonna go with Andrew Thomas out of Georgia.
Good selection. I'd be surprised if he's still available, but yeah, if he's gonna go to any team, I think Miami would make the most sense in that situation. To me, I also think that they're gonna go offensive line because they picked Tua. They're gonna want someone big, meaty to protect their franchise quarterback, and I'm thinking it's Mekhi Becton. 6'7", 369 pounds. Are you joking?
Nice.
And I heard he moves like a what was the term? A dancing bear. That's what they say about him.
I mean, the first thing as soon as I opened up the scouting report is he's smooth. How clean
Hmm.
his feet are.
He's
That's
big
you love to
boy.
see that.
But at 18, I'm agreeing with you. They're going offensive line. I think that I the only offensive lineman I have really left from the target is Becton, so I think they go Becton. At 19, the Raiders. Um, this is what this is their main pick, I believe. Or no, this is the Bears pick that they got
Yes, this
in
is the
the
Bears
in the
pick.
Mac trade. Um, for some reason, I got Isaiah Simmons still on the board, but I think that this could actually happen. Like Isaiah Simmons
hit
could
and
go as high
fall.
as 3, but he could go like all the way down here at 19 because teams, GMs could just be like, he doesn't have a position. Am I really going to draft a guy who we don't even know where he'd be best at? Oakland, or not Oakland, Vegas. They're moving to Vegas.
They're moving to
It's
Vegas.
all about the bright lights and the putting the most talent possible out on the field. It's got to be Isaiah Simmons here for me. Now your pick is going to be extremely different because you had him going fourth,
I
but
had him going forward to the Giants.
and I could
And
totally see that. I also could see if
him
all these
just
other teams address
falling
their
to
needs,
19th.
if all these other teams address their needs, Simmons slots right there in 19, which would be a steal for the Raiders.
Yeah.
But you go ahead.
I had the Raiders earlier picking Ruggs, so they're good at wide receiver.
Yeah, and I got Lamb earlier.
Yeah. I think they'll probably look to improve the secondary. They haven't had a solid secondary since when we all remember Nnamdi Asomugha, the best corner in the NFL, and then he came to Philadelphia.
And ruined his career.
So I think they'll go Trayvon Diggs.
Oh.
Great zone coverage guy. You love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go Trayvon Diggs.
The brother of Stephon Diggs, and oh my goodness,
That'll be a matchup to watch.
Oh yeah.
They ever play against each other.
So you get Jacksonville here with their second pick. Who'd you take for
I
Jacksonville?
took Jerry Jeudy.
Judy. Okay.
Because
I think
those
I also
quarterbacks.
wait. Did I also take Judy? Yeah, I took Judy as well.
Yeah, the quarterbacks need a target.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to. I think they'll go Swift because there's it's one of the running backs.
Mm-hmm.
It's either Swift, Taylor, or Dobbins.
I think Swift is the best one in this class.
Yeah, he ran all over Notre Dame. He made the front seven Notre Dame look stupid all game. It wasn't the Jake Fromm show like I was told it was gonna be. DeAndre Swift put Georgia's offense on his back and won them the football game. And
So you think they go Swift here?
I think he'll be able to do it in the NFL. So DeAndre Swift will be my pick.
Interesting. All right, and I'm gonna go. I would love for them to go running back. They desperately need a linebacker. I know Miles Jack's contract is coming up, unless he just signed an extension, which I'm not sure
I don't
about.
think he did.
I think if Trayvon Diggs is still available for them, they got to take him on my board. That's where he's going. They got to replace Jalen Ramsey. AJ Boye is only getting older, and he's getting more exposed now that Ramsey is not next to him. So I think Diggs would be a perfect fit in Jacksonville. Kind of bring that Saxonville defense back.
Yeah.
Some coverage sacks for the Jaguars. We're coming up on the 1 hour mark, so we're only going to do the first round today.
Yeah.
Pick number 21. Now, this is the big pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's got to be secondary or receiver. And I'm pretty mad that I had to take Isaiah Simmons at 19 because if he fell to the Eagles, that would be amazing. I still have Chanel on my board. I still have McKinney. I'm going to go Xavier McKinney. I think he's too good of a player to pass up on here. And if Malcolm Jenkins is playing, who knows?
Hey, who knows where Malcolm Jenkins will be?
McKinney could fit right into his role. Versatile safety. I think that he would be fine there. But you don't have McKinney available, so let's see what you go with.
I don't. But there's a certain guy out of LSU who plays the safety position who, watching him play against Alabama and then the run through the playoff, he was so good. And if the Eagles manage to get him at 21, it'll be a win in my book. Grant Delpit is coming to Philly to shore up the defense.
I like Delpit. And he's tall back there
tall.
too.
He's very
6'3".
tall. Yeah.
So you got Buffalo on the board.
Buffalo, Jerry Hughes, unreal. They took I definitely think they'll look to improve on the D line. They had a very, very good season. I'm a big Josh Allen guy. Crazy to think that they traded Sammy Watkins instead of keeping him. I honestly think they would have made it farther in the playoffs if they had a guy like Sammy Watkins.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they'll go edge, and AJ Epineza is still on my board. It's kind of a no-brainer at 22.
Yeah. All right, I like it. Um, all right, so for me, I like Josh Allen a lot. However, um, I don't. We all know that he is not the most accurate. It's kind of
No,
just,
yeah,
and his timing is not perfect. He needs a wide receiver that can go snatch the ball anywhere. And to me, that's T. Higgins out of Clemson. He
I
is
can
too
see that
big.
pick.
He is too big. 6'4", 215. His arms are so long.
Yep.
Like it just seems like he catches everything that's around him. And it was odd to see that. I think it was against LSU in the national championship where he wasn't catching everything, but that was credit to guys like Fulton and Delpit that were back there shutting him down. T. Higgins, I think, would be a perfect fit. Big body, possession receiver. Throw it up, he'll catch it. For Josh Allen. At 23, the New England Patriots, and it's odd to see that they're not picking in the 30s. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
they need tight end. However, this isn't a very
No
good
tight
tight end
ends.
class. They honestly could go whoever here.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they trade out of this. There's a few teams that like. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants actually even trade down from 4. Um, even like who else could trade down? Atlanta might trade down. I think that what the team needs, they need tight end the most. They also need a wide receiver. They could draft a QB. Who knows? I think that they would actually go if Yatur Gross-Matos is here from Penn State. I think they actually go with Gross-Matos. He had a really good 2018, not necessarily a great 2019, but uh, I think he's still just a freak. Uh, 6'5". He's
Yeah,
huge.
that's unreal.
He's huge. And he's perfect for that edge spot. He's built like an NFL player.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I would probably go edge too, honestly. They're making out Chase Winovich to be the
Yeah.
second coming.
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't even at Michigan. Like he never impressed me. Like I don't know like what the whole hype was about him. I'm gonna go Gross Matos.
All right, all right. I think that they could also go. I mean, you have Becton on your board still. I think that they could also go with a lineman. But we'll see. Now you can go with New Orleans here.
Um. So the big question of where is everybody's favorite NFL player Taysom Hill gonna play? Is he gonna be your quarterback? Is Drew Brees finally done?
Yeah, Drew Brees is a free agent.
He is. And if you got a guy like Hill in that quarterback, or do they bring back Teddy Bridgewater? That's another thing.
Yeah.
Because Bridgewater was incredible
Yeah.
when Breeze was out.
Hmm.
Um, I think if they bring Hill in, they'll bring in offensive line help to try to develop him into a pocket passer, even though he's almost 30. So I think Mekhi Becton is somebody they'll look after. It makes the most sense if you're trying to form a guy who doesn't sit in the pocket and pass the ball into
Hmm.
somebody who needs to do that, which he'll have to if he does end up playing quarterback.
All right. All right. New Orleans for me, I think their offensive line is in a good enough spot where they don't need to draft offensive line. But I also feel like if Becton's there, you can't really pass up on him. I'm actually gonna go wide receiver, and I'm not gonna go. I have Chanel here on the board. I'm not gonna go with him. I'm actually gonna go down a little bit on the board. I'm going KJ Hamler. He's another burner out of Penn State,
Yeah,
and small, very small, but
five
he
nine.
can
Yeah,
absolutely fly. And I think that he would be a pretty good slot guy. Um, if you put Traquan Smith, you move him to the outside, especially after I think Ginn's gone this year.
yeah.
You move Hamler into the slot. You already have Michael Thomas, the all-world,
Wide receiver.
one of the greatest wide receivers we've ever seen. Yeah, I think Hamler. will really solidify that top three wide receiver spot. Um, Minnesota next, who beat New Orleans in an upset.
Very
Uh,
much did.
their top need is corner. I don't really know where they're gonna go. I could see them trading out of the first round. I'm actually gonna have them take Laviska Shenault just because he's still on the board. They could use another wide receiver. We don't know. I mean, Thielen's getting up there in age, probably around 30 now. Diggs is still very good, but if you could put Shenault, gadget player, play him anywhere, that would be pretty fun to watch with their weapons already.
I agree. Um, I think they'll go corner at C.J. Henderson. Like their secondary kind of let them down in the playoffs. It did ended up getting exposed. I don't know how Drew Brees didn't expose them, but
Yeah.
I think C.J. Henderson's the pick here.
Yeah, Xavier Rhodes made the Pro Bowl somehow, and he had quite possibly the worst season
Yeah, he was
I've ever
not very
seen.
good.
Miami up again.
Oh, Miami. Why do you do this? It makes sense though. They're so terrible that you may as well grab as many draft picks as you can. Their biggest need is edge. They could try and grab a running back with Taylor and Dobbins still on the board. Kind of form a 1-2 punch at running back with Kenyon Drake.
No, Kenyon Drake's in Arizona, so
Oh
so
yeah,
they
that's
they
right.
they need
What's his? They definitely need a running back.
Kalen Ballage, I think, out of
Yeah,
ASU
that's who it is.
was their
It
top
is Kalen Balaj.
running back this year.
Yeah. So
Kalen Ballage famous for scoring 7 touchdowns in a college game, tying the NCAA record. That's my little side
Jesus,
note. My ASU
that's
brother.
insane.
But you
I
see
was
them
a
going running back?
Yeah. I think they need everything, so they can do whatever the hell they want. I mean, unless they go like Terrell Lewis, or if they really like Julian Okwara at the edge.
Mhm.
Um, I love Julian Okwara, but that's we'll put the Notre Dame bias aside.
Bias.
Yeah, he'll probably be a guy like if somebody trades like for the Chiefs spot that he'll be taken. Um, unless you go wide receiver, get T Higgins in for Tua, but I think they'll go running back, and I think they'll probably take J.K. Dobbins.
Mm. Interesting. I'm also going to take running back, and DeAndre Swift is still available for me, so I got to take him.
Yeah.
I think Jonathan Taylor is really good, but
Mm.
he already has a lot of mileage on him. I think Wisconsin was all about the just ground and pound,
Mm-hmm.
give it to Jonathan Taylor and see what he can do. Run behind those mammoth human beings that they grow up there in Wisconsin. Uh, so yeah, DeAndre Swift I think he's better, and he's probably less injury prone already. So I would go
Definitely.
Swift if he's still available, which makes a really good draft so far for
Yeah.
Miami. If I go, I mean, I went Tua, Becton, and Swift, and I think that those are probably the top running back, the second quarterback, and a top three lineman. I think that they're in good shape next year, and they could
Yeah.
probably compete. They're not going to contend at all, but they're going to compete next year.
6 wins maybe.
hmm Seattle. See, they're another team that just kind of needs a lot, and I don't know where they would go. Jadeveon Clowney, does he re-sign? Who knows?
Nobody knows.
They also could use a wide receiver. I think that if they get really young at wide receiver, going with Metcalf and a draft pick, that would be pretty fun to watch.
It
I
would be
don't
really
think
good.
that they would go after anyone right here. They are going to get healthier at running back, so I don't think they go running back. Uh, Man, I'm gonna go. Oh man, I'm actually gonna go Terrell Lewis out of Alabama. I think that they need
Sure up the D
edge.
line.
They gotta have someone in case Clowney doesn't come back.
Yeah. I was gonna go T Higgins because that seems like a kind
Oh
of
my
thing where
god.
Russell Wilson, where T Higgins and DK Metcalf as a 1-2 punch at wide receiver.
Ew.
nobody could contend with it. So I'm gonna go T
Ew,
Higgins.
that's gross. Who's next? Baltimore.
Baltimore is up. It's weird. It says they need wide receiver help. How badly do they need wide receiver help?
They need it.
I'm trying to think of like their top receivers.
Hollywood Brown, Willie
He
Snead.
was on and off. Okay, he was a really good deep guy, but sometimes he would struggle
The thing
sometimes
with
getting off
Brown
the
is that
line.
he's undersized and he's only really good deep.
Yeah,
Uh, it's Willie Snead is not really your all. I mean, he's supposed to be kind of like an all around, but I think he's just a worse Hollywood Brown.
yeah,
Um, they need it, but you also said like, do they really need it? Like, and that could just be because they run the ball so much,
yeah.
and they have Lamar Jackson back there. So it's a good point. But
I mean Terrell Lewis is still on my board.
mhm.
I think a little D line help would help. Nice, good job. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go Terrell Lewis. Sometimes like guys like that who seem to profile as perfect pass rushers,
Mhm.
definitely somebody you should take.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I see it. I see it. For me, I'm going. I'm actually gonna go linebacker here, and I'm gonna go Kenneth Murray. A little bit of a reach, but I think they need linebacker enough where that they'll take him. I know Big 12 defensive players in general are not necessarily the greatest because Big 12 defenses suck.
Suck.
But I think Murray has all the skill in the world. Um, sure tackler. I think he's a better tackler than Patrick Queen. And Patrick Queen's fast and he's more of a coverage guy. So I think they'll go Murray there. At 29, now this is where I'm not going by the team needs at all because uh, Derrick Henry, I am guaranteeing is not re-signing with Tennessee. I I am 100% sure of that. I don't know why he wouldn't, but he's gonna get so much money somewhere.
He will get a
Um,
lot of money.
I think he would fit perfectly if he stayed in Tennessee. However, plug and play guy Jonathan Taylor slides in perfectly there, and I think he would be perfect for Tennessee.
Yeah. With the big question, of course, with their offenses, will they have a quarterback and will they have a running back?
Mm.
And after watching them in the playoffs, it seems like if they lose their running back, they won't have an offense at all. So I think Jonathan Taylor is a perfect pick here.
Yeah, that is a good point. I didn't even talk about the. I think in the second round they could actually trade up to the beginning of the second round and take a guy like Jake Fromm.
Yeah.
So Green Bay, go ahead.
Green Bay. Oh boy. Um, wide receivers. It's Devontae Adam
Yeah,
and
Marquez Valdez-Scantling,
uh,
Geronimo
Lin,
Allison.
so Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Um, they could. I mean, they could also take Kenneth Murray or Patrick McQueen because they. Who's it? Blake Martinez, I believe, is his name. Is there
Yeah,
the one linebacker I know?
and
And
he's
he's.
actually set to be a free agent.
Yeah, I think. I think because there's wide receivers you can sign in free agency. Linebacker is kind of a premium when it comes to free agents. Some of those guys get big money.
hmm I
Um,
like it. I like the thought process here.
so I think they'll go with Kenneth Murray since he's a better kind of tackler.
hmm
They kind of want another like Clay Matthews kind of mold. He's not. I'm not saying Kenneth Murray is Clay Matthews,
hmm
but a sure tackler, which Matthews was in his heyday.
hmm
So we'll go
Yeah,
Kenneth
he's
Murray.
not going to get after the quarterback the same, but that's what made Matthews so good. I would love to take Patrick Queen here. I think you have to ride Aaron. You have to give Aaron Rodgers the best weapons now
Yeah.
before he fades off into the distance. I I don't think Jalen Rager is that guy. You know who? This is not biased at all.
There's a little guy from Arizona State I see
Oh my
who's
God, dude,
ranked
Brandon!
40th.
I'm telling you, Brandon Ayuk. Uh, Watching this guy play every game,
Electric.
he is electric. He is a playmaker, and it was so much fun to watch him. Um, I
You'll get a
think
lot of questions if he'll mesh with Devontae Adams.
yeah, but I think if you throw him either outside or in the slot, he can play either. And you put him on returns, oh my goodness, I, he
Exciting
has
times in
pretty
Green Bay.
sure hands, and he's so fast. And his best ability is run after the catch. He reminds me a lot of Randall Cobb, um, with that run after catch ability. I think Ayuk would be perfect for Aaron Rodgers. Um, little N'Keal Harry, and then Brandon Ayuk, back to back first round wide receivers out of ASU. I think that would be pretty cool. Uh, Next, I got the runners up this year, San Francisco. The 49ers, I think we all saw it in the Super Bowl. They got to
Secondary
shore
got
up their
exposed.
secondary. And I still have Grant Delpit on the board. I don't think he
Yeah.
falls out of the first round. I got to take him here. Yeah, secondary was exposed by Patrick Mahomes. Who do you got?
Um. So the inside offensive line kind of fell apart as well during the game. You could tell they couldn't get as much through the middle. A lot of it was they were trying to pull McGlinchey to the inside, and most of the times it would get blown up because KC was sending the house down up the middle, which made the most sense in the world.
Exactly.
Um, there's not many linemen here, which is an issue.
They're gonna
Uh,
eventually address. I think they go lineman second round.
yeah, probably. Corner makes the most sense. Jeff Gladney's on my board.
Mm.
Athletes at corner are always good ideas. You just kind of hope you can fine tune the coverage side of the game. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Jeff Gladney.
All right, all right. And then your final pick of this
My
draft.
final pick, your Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs. Their secondary played really well, which I thought was going to be the big question was would their secondary show up?
Mm-hmm.
Both teams had kind of weak secondaries, which was interesting to watch, considering how good San Fran's defense was in the first half, and then
Mm-hmm.
how Kansas City's defense started to turn it on later into the game when they needed to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're another team where inside line tough. When Stefan Wisniewski is starting on your offensive line with no injuries ahead of him in the depth chart,
Uh-huh.
there's a little bit of an issue there. Um, what will they do at running back? They won't re-sign McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're so stacked at wide receiver, unless you try and move Miko Hardman into a wideout or into a running back just because he's so fast, make him a
Yeah.
speed guy, which
Gadget.
I could see them doing. You
Mm.
could also take another speed gadget guy in KJ
If
Hamler
you're just going by, put the most speed out there on the field. That's what Andy Reid
because
loves to do.
when you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes and you give him speed, just let him unload. The guy's got
Yeah.
a cannon,
Yeah.
so I think they'll go with KJ Hamler out of Penn State
Oh,
to
wow.
round
That's
out the
interesting.
draft.
Huh. Okay. All right. I like it. All right. I'm gonna go. I still have J.K. Dobbins on my board. I think that they need to go running back.
Yeah,
I don't think Damian Williams had a great game, but I don't think that he is the answer. And he's already, what, 27, 28.
playoff
Uh,
game.
yeah. Don't know where that nickname came from. Um, it's actually pretty interesting because I'm gonna have a guy like C.J. Henderson falling out of the first round, but I think that actually makes sense because his tape this year was I did watch C.J. Henderson a bit. He wasn't that great, and he didn't really wow me this season. Um, Patrick Queen, I think, could totally go in the first round, but based on my draft, I think I like AJ Terrell to go in the first round, but didn't work out. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna go AJ Terrell out of Clemson. I think he's a really good lockdown man-to-man guy. He kind of got exposed by Joe Burrow and LSU, but oh man, I think that he's very talented. I know that, and he can take guys out of games at times, and he's done that throughout his time at Clemson. I'm gonna go with Terrell to round out my draft. So guys like so let's talk real quick before we go. guys that are still on your board that could have totally went in the first round. You start.
Um, a guy like Jordan Love, because there's a ton of teams that need quarterbacks. Okwara seems like a guy that maybe like the Raiders trade back a little bit, pick up, because Okwara's he's so impressive off the edge that it's hard to see him fall out, but it's also possible he very much does. Um, Ayuk, because
Hmm.
speed kind of wide receiver guys seem to go pretty high sometimes.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think those are like kind of the big three
Hmm.
that I've seen fall out.
Yeah. I would obviously go Dobbins and Henderson, like I mentioned. Queen, I could totally. Okwara, I agree with you. Gladney, I think will make big jumps at the combine. Um, he's 6 foot 183, but I heard he can jump out of the gym. uh, some other guys, Justin Jefferson, just based on his 4 touchdown game against Oklahoma and what he did all year with Joe Burrow, I actually think that Jefferson could go number 1 in round 2.
Yeah, because
Pair
the Bengals.
pair Burrow up with Jefferson, and that would actually make a really cool story.
Yeah,
Some guys that I've seen, maybe, I mean, Fromm is a
he's
guy that could.
a rough end of the season kind of solidified him as a guy where. Ugh, do you want to take a shot on him?
Yeah. I'm pretty positive Eason's not going to go in the first round, but Antoine Winfield Jr. could go in the first. It'll be really interesting to see. Especially when we do our next mock draft. I think that'll be cool. Just see how much it differs from this one. But that's basically going to wrap it up. I got to head out. Got things to do coming up tonight, so we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for listening to Rise Squared episode 2. This is your NFL episode, and we're
Yeah.
not just doing hockey. We promise that we are going to do more episodes because we really let everyone down,
Yeah.
ourselves down,
Yeah.
when we didn't do any episodes after the first one.
Yeah. Really appreciate everybody who tunes in and listens. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully, I didn't sound like too much of an idiot because I'm like crying. Still a little, not up to date with the prospects, but
Hmm.
hopefully I hope I did my best. I hope you can still enjoy it.
Yes, you
So
did.
thanks for
You did
listening,
well in
everybody.
my eyes. Yes, thank you for listening. We'll catch you. I don't know when,
Next
but
time.
yeah, next time we will catch you. So see you for episode 3, everyone.
Peace out.